To all, to one and all. It is Hump Day here, and we are in not only in the middle of a week, we're at August 31st, the end of the summer effectively. People back to school, people back to away from finished vacations. September is generally when we say fall is here. But also, what fall brings is not only the bringing down of the leaves, but the bringing down of some of the emotions, the cold, the rain, whatever. But it seems that the President of the United States has been raining on everybody. The man who declared during his inauguration that he will be the great unifier is really the divider in chief, Stuart. He is really the guy who has done as much or more damage than any president to divide the United States, and I'll tell you how he's also helped to divide part of Canada. But just to give you an idea, the divider in chief, Joe Biden, is further dividing America, and he's been lying for 2 years to us about what he really intends to do. Stuart, really, what's going on here with President Biden?
David, I first of all got to say that thank you for introducing me on something that'll be a quite off-topic tirade. So, when you talk
Again off
about,
topic. Again off topic.
yeah, I'm always drinking, eating,
Go,
water,
just go ahead. Tell
you
us
know,
how you really feel about the president of the U.S. of A.
I'm going to bring it back to most of us can relate to high school. Okay. Most of us can relate or say that we know the bully in the school, or we were the bully in the school, or we avoided the bullies of the school, right? There's several different buckets that we all fell into. I recall very clearly who some of the bullies were in the school, and it never really bothered me, but it bothered a lot of kids. And those bullies were the ones that always said, oh, no, he started it. No, he did it. They had a line to blame for every single reason why they were not bullies, right? And seemed to skate through trouble, unless they were really a bad apple and they were just psychotic. But there were all kinds of bullies. Now, bullying is also hazing. So as we got a little older in high school, brace face, fatso, freckle face, flat. Everyone had a line, right? That was another type of harassment, right? Let's go now to Democrats and Republicans. So all these high school kids grew up and become Democrat and Republican, and some of them are independent, right? I would like to say that, people that are morally driven are less likely to continue being that bully, that narcissist, that horrible human being that just lives off of people's drama or creates the drama, right? However, the president in chief is a divider in chief. Well said, David. He walks around calling the following: name calling. So let's conversely talk about Donald Trump versus Joseph Biden. Donald Trump called Mitt Romney a yellow belly sack of wimpy crap. President Biden called half of America fascists, terrorists.
Oh, no,
Hillary
no.
Clinton,
Semi-fascist.
Hillary,
Semi-fascist.
deplorables. You know,
Deplorables.
so the Democrats call the population of Americans names, where Donald Trump called you, the politician, a name. He never generalized the Clinton people. He said, Hillary Clinton, you're a sack of shit. Joe Biden, you're an invertebrate. Mitt Romney, you are just a hypocrite. He didn't go and say Americans that vote for Joe or Hillary Clinton are rebels. They're troublemakers. They're this, they're that. The Biden administration has taken this blame game to a level that I've never once thought possible. They are now officially, as the president of the United States, telling half of Americans, you're not Americans. Really, is what he's doing. It reminds me epically of a 1933 speech of a young politician named Adolf Hitler, who said, unless you are a pure German and agree in just what we agree as the Third Reich, you are an outcast. Joseph Biden basically did the exact same thing what
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler did in 1933. No, David. And the Democrats always seem to like to inflame that Donald Trump is the fascist.
Yeah.
Sorry. How
Oh,
could a man who calls individuals out versus a man that calls out half a country out as being,
well, well, it's really simple, Stuart.
yeah,
It's
go
really
ahead.
simple, Stuart, because
Liar,
I'll
liar,
tell you.
pants on fire.
No, it's not that. It's really funny because if you look at history,
Oh, I do.
this has been the way. Now it's funny because I'm going to use something from the left. They love to call America colonialists, and Britain and France, they're colonialists. And what were the colonialists? The thing that they did well, divide and conquer. You went into an area. If you look at the Middle East, you look at Southeast Asia, you look at Africa. They went in, they divided the population, they created anarchy, they conquered the area, and then they ruled with an iron fist. And they said, "You need me." And then when they left a massive mess. Look at Iran and Pakistan and Bangladesh. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. Look what's going on in Africa. You will see, no matter where they went, dividing and conquering creates anarchy. This is exactly what the politicians have discovered, that if you divide people, you pit one against the other, you come across as the savior, therefore you elect that individual. Now, we're going through an election here in Quebec. It's the same thing. We see that Francois Legault, a staunch purist, some would call him almost fascist like the way he acts, okay, where he sits there, he goes, listen, real Quebecers are, and fill in the blank and whatever, and he's dividing English and French. It's the same thing that the Democrats have said. We're unifiers. As long as you agree with us. You said it exactly right. As long as
No,
you
no,
agree
no.
with
Wait,
us.
wait, wait. Say that one line again. I
As
said
long
it. I
you
said it. What?
you said,
It
listen,
exactly what? Exactly what?
Stuart, the point I'm saying here is that the Democratic Party, from Nancy Pelosi all the way to Joe Biden, who claim to hold the moral high ground. And they always say that they're the moral high ground. Democracy's in peril unless you vote for the Democrat. If you vote for the GOP, your democracy's in peril. If you vote for the GOP, they're semi-fascists, MAGA people, blah, blah, blah. You're labeling people, and you're saying that the 73 million or so who voted for the Republicans and Donald Trump in the last election are anti-American, are going to destroy
Deplorable.
democracy, blah blah blah. The labels are okay, but if
Yeah.
God forbid you should call it the left, you should call it the Democrats. You're disruptive, you're anti-American, blah blah blah. It's hand in hand. Joe Biden, the Democrats, the liberal media, they are all singing the same bloody song. And you know what, Stuart? Divider in chief Biden has conquered America, and he's dividing America. He's trying to pit California, New York against Texas and Florida. He's
Yep.
trying to pit Massachusetts against South Dakota. He's doing that to gain votes in the midterm elections. He has no interest in unifying the United States. He is creating greater anarchy, and he's loving every minute of it. And so are the
You know,
squad. So,
I got a couple of things, David. My father just texted me, believe it or not. He said, I
mm,
sound all fired up. And I'm going to give another example, David.
mm,
Republicans, I mentioned this before when they have rallies at the mall in D.C., the
mhm.
place looks like it's not even disturbed. When the Democrats do a rally in the mall, it takes a week to 2 weeks to clean up the garbage. In saying that, a bunch of Democrats on a
Yeah,
boat.
but
No,
they're
no,
going
no,
to
no.
argue with you.
A bunch of
They're going to argue
Democrats.
with you. They're going to
Stop,
argue with you
stop,
that
stop, stop,
no,
stop,
no,
stop,
no,
stop.
no. The Democrats are going to argue with you that the January 6th riots destroyed the Capitol, Stuart.
Right. Yeah, David, hang on.
Stop
That's one
eating.
event. One event either. But you're not letting me say one story. Democrats on a boat sailing by Mar-a-Lago pull their pants down and go, fuck you, Trump. Should Republicans go to the Kennedy Memorial and pull their pants down? Come
Stuart,
on.
listen,
It's
listen,
stupid. It's
Stuart,
stupid.
Stuart,
A
it's
Republican
very
would
simple.
never do this.
Stuart, you know what? I'm sorry to tell you, but I really could care less because really, there are repulsive Republicans and there are repulsive Democrats, and they're morons. The big problem for me is what the net result of all this is, Stuart, and you came close to it, in my opinion.
Close.
Look at the violent reaction. Look at the violent reaction, and this is not only to Mr. Brisgell, your father, whom I respect, but to everybody out there. The anarchy that's being created has resulted in violence, not only to each other, but towards other politicians. Look what's happened. Republican politicians have been attacked on stage, in public, because of all this, and they're getting excused by the left and they're getting excused by the Democrats. And Joe Biden stays very quiet. And the Democrats stay very, very quiet when one of their own goes off and does something ridiculous. But if a Republican, a right wing individual, a conservative was to do something, you see, they're racist, they're anarchists, they're whatever. The hypocrisy is disgusting. It goes both ways. I mean, there are those who are going to say that it goes both ways. But the reality, Stuart, is that what Joe Biden is doing by labeling Republican voters as semi fascists, you are in, like, what would World War II veterans be saying right now? They rescued,
Turning in their grave. Most of them are turning in their graves.
like, come on. That
They bled
statement by
for our
Joe Biden
country
is
regardless of
disgusting.
political party.
You know what? And you want to know what? If they go by Mar-a-Lago and the Democrats, the Democrats are going to, are loving what's going on in Mar-a-Lago. They love the anarchy that they've created. They love the anarchy they created with the Department of Justice and the FBI. And they're creating this. I mean, look, we talked about it and someone said, oh, you guys are a bunch of conspiracy theorists. It will never happen in America. Are you paying attention to the signs? Pay attention. There is a lot of crap that is happening that the President of the United States and his party are endorsing in full to create this anarchy.
Listen, the Democrats never called out any of the riots, any of the demolishing in Oregon. I hope that election ends up being very positive by taking control in Oregon and maybe bringing some civility back to the streets of Oregon. Washington State, again, is near lost at this point. Listen, every Democratic city in the nation has massive crime, massive gun violence, massive drug issue. Let's not forget that the Democrats are allowing millions of people in the southern border without COVID tests, without testing for COVID, without
Stewart,
any immunization. No,
Stewart,
stop, without any immunization
no,
checks, but denying entry to professional tennis players. I mean, this
Stewart,
party
how?
is
Whoa,
unhinged.
whoa, whoa! Let me go one
Off
step
topic.
further, buddy. Let me go one step. No, one step further in terms of creating anarchy and divisiveness. AOC said,
Oh,
if you don't agree with the $500 billion payout for these university loans, there's something wrong with you. I'm thinking, wait a second. So you'd rather give it to, and we talked about this on Monday, you'd rather give money to wealthier, privileged individuals, but the so-called poor that AOC loves to cry over doesn't get a dime. But if you don't agree with her, you're an anarchist. You're anti-democracy. I'm like, guys, I didn't realize that you're godlike, that you're gospel, that you're whatever you say is gospel, that whatever you say is rules of wisdom. Give me a break. The Joe Biden is bleh.
David, your Bluetooth dying, so you're getting all gargly. Uh, Listen, we're at our quarter hour, and because David's Mickey Mouse ears are dying, I'm going to get the entire last 30 seconds to say goodbye. Oh, he says no, 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 but his headphones ain't working right. So listen, everybody out there, whether you're Democrat, whether you're Republican, or whether you're independent, liberal, conservative, NDP, whatever party you are, you have to look at when people call names to entire population segments, it is very much World War II-esque. It's also throughout history been the way most dictators have tried to come to power. Whether it's a Fidel Castro, whether it is a Putin, whether it is a Lenin or a Stalin, Joe Biden, the president of the United States, is acting very much or pretending to act like one of those. We hope to see you guys on Friday. David is now becoming a mime. Charlie Chaplin, eat your heart out. We love you guys. Message us, text us, PM us. We understand that you're afraid of getting beaten up by some Democrat. Don't worry. We're here to protect you. Guys, love to see you. Gotta leave you. David, say goodbye.